Welcome, coin enthusiasts. Today, we're taking a fascinating look at the Standing Liberty Quarter, a historic 90% silver U.S. coin that can be worth far more than face value in exceptional condition. From its beautiful design and post-World War I history to its scarce high-grade and full-head examples, we'll explore what makes this classic quarter so desirable and what your coin could potentially be worth. Stay tuned, because you might be surprised by the prices. The 1919 Standing Liberty Quarter is one of the most historically important early 20th century U.S. silver quarters and remains a highly desirable issue among collectors of classic American coinage. Although it is sometimes described online with sensational terms such as ultra-rare or even associated with the word bicentennial, the 1919 quarter is not a bicentennial coin. It was struck more than 5 decades before the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial issues. What makes the 1919 issue genuinely interesting is its place in the early Standing Liberty Quarter series, its attractive Art Deco era design, and the dramatic difference in value between ordinary circulated examples and exceptional certified specimens. The Philadelphia 1919 issue had a substantial mintage of 11,324,000 coins, so an ordinary worn example is not extraordinarily rare. However, truly high-grade pieces with sharp detail, strong luster, attractive surfaces, and especially the coveted full-head FH designation are much scarcer. PCGS currently lists the 1919 issue across a very wide range, from modest values in lower circulated grades to tens of thousands of dollars at the highest grades, while its recorded auction history demonstrates just how dramatically condition can affect value. The historical story of the 1919 Standing Liberty Quarter is particularly fascinating because the coin emerged during a period of enormous change in the United States. The Standing Liberty Quarter series began in 1916 and continued through 1930, replacing the barber quarter and introducing a much more expressive artistic style to American circulating coinage. The 1919 issue belongs to the Type II design, introduced during 1917 after modifications to the original 1916 to 1917 design. Herman A. McNeil created the design, portraying liberty in a protective and forward-looking pose rather than using the more conventional portrait-style imagery of earlier quarters. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 1919 coin without a mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco produced separate 1919D and 1919S issues. This difference is important because collectors often encounter the 3 coins in the same series, but discover that the Denver and San Francisco issues can command substantially higher prices in comparable grades. The design of the 1919 Philadelphia Quarter is one of the principal reasons collectors continue to admire it. On the obverse, Liberty stands facing forward while holding a shield in one hand and an olive branch in the other, creating a symbolic combination of national defense and peace. The Type II design also includes chain mail covering Liberty's chest, while the reverse features a powerful eagle in flight with stars beneath it. Herman A. McNeil's artistic concept gives the coin a remarkably dynamic appearance compared with many earlier U.S. quarters. The coin is composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighs approximately 6.25 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. The actual silver content is about 0.18084 troy ounce. One of the most interesting technical characteristics is the raised placement of the date on the early Standing Liberty Quarter. Because the date was exposed to heavy wear, dates on pre-1925 examples frequently became weak or partially unreadable in circulation. The Mint eventually recessed the date beginning in 1925. Consequently, a 1919 example with a complete, sharply readable date immediately has greater collector appeal than a heavily worn coin. Rarity is where the 1919 quarter becomes particularly complicated, because mintage is not the same thing as rarity. With more than 11 million Philadelphia examples originally struck, the ordinary 1919 quarter is not a classic low mintage rarity in circulated condition. Many survive because the coin was widely used in commerce, but extensive circulation also damaged the features collectors now care about most. Liberty's head, shield legs, date, and other high points were particularly vulnerable to wear. The real rarity begins when collectors demand a coin with excellent surfaces and strong original detail. The full head designation is especially important because it indicates unusually complete detail on Liberty's head. PCGS's current guide illustrates the enormous premium associated with exceptional examples. Its listed 1919 Philadelphia values rise from hundreds of dollars in mid-level mint state grades to several $1,000s in higher grades, and reach approximately $55,000 to $60,000 in MS68, depending on specific listing and grade. The market value of a normal 1919 Philadelphia standing Liberty quarter, therefore, depends overwhelmingly on condition. A worn good or very good example may bring roughly $40 to $60 or more, while fine through extremely fine examples can move into approximately the $75 to $125 plus range, depending on eye appeal and market. About uncirculated and lower mint state coins can generally move into the hundreds of dollars, while certified MS63 and MS64 examples may reach several $100s to well over $1,000, depending on the marketplace. These figures are guides rather than guaranteed selling prices, but they clearly demonstrate the extraordinary effect of grade. There is also a major distinction between the regular 1919 Philadelphia quarter and the 1919D and 1919S varieties. The Denver coin had a mintage of only 1,944,000. The 1920 Standing Liberty Quarter is an important early issue in the classic Standing Liberty Quarter series and can be surprisingly valuable when found in exceptional condition. One clarification is important at the outset. The 1920 quarter is not a U.S. bicentennial coin. The bicentennial quarter belongs to 1975 to 1976. The 1920 issue was struck more than 5 decades earlier, but its age, silver composition, historically significant design, and especially the scarcity of sharply struck high-grade examples make it highly desirable to serious numismatists. The Philadelphia 1920 quarter had a large mintage of 27,860,000, so ordinary circulated examples are not ultra-rare. The real rarity lies in superior preservation and strike quality, particularly coins receiving the coveted full-head FH designation. PCGS auction records show that exceptional 1920 examples can reach substantial prices, while a recent February 2026 sale of a PCGS MS66 Plus full-head example realized $3,840. PCGS listed that coin's guide value at $11,000, illustrating how dramatically quality, certification, and market timing can affect the price of supposedly ordinary 1920 quarter. The historical background of the 1920 Standing Liberty Quarter adds considerably to its appeal. The series was introduced in 1916 as a successor to the Barber Quarter, giving American coinage a more artistic and symbolic appearance. The designer was Herman A. McNeil, whose Liberty figure represents strength, preparedness, and peace through the combination of a shield and olive branch. By 1920, the United States was entering the post-World War I era, making the symbolism of liberty particularly appropriate. The 1920 issue belongs to the Type II Standing Liberty Quarter design, in which Liberty wears chainmail and the reverse shows an eagle in flight. 3 mints produced quarters dated 1920: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The much smaller Denver production is particularly important to collectors because the 1920 D is substantially scarcer, especially in high grade. NGC describes the 1920D as scarce across all grades, with mint state gems rare and full-head examples especially elusive. The physical characteristics of the 1920 quarter are typical of the Standing Liberty series, but are impressive when viewed in a well-preserved specimen. The coin is made from 90% silver and 10% copper, weighs approximately 6.25 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters across, and has a reeded edge. Its obverse depicts Liberty standing with a shield in her left hand and an olive branch in her right, symbolizing America's willingness to defend itself while seeking peace. The reverse portrays a large eagle flying above a group of stars. The artistic composition is unusually dramatic for an early 20th century circulating quarter, and the combination of Liberty's figure, shield, olive branch, eagle, and stars gives the coin strong historical symbolism. One technical weakness of early Standing Liberty quarters is the susceptibility of the date and central design elements to wear. Consequently, collectors prize pieces with fully visible date, strong Liberty detail, clear shield definition, and particularly complete detail on Liberty's head. These characteristics can make two coins with identical dates look and be worth very different amounts. Rarity becomes especially interesting when examining the full head designation. A full head coin has unusually complete detail in the helmet and facial area features of Liberty, demonstrating that the dies struck the coin with sufficient pressure and alignment to transfer the design properly. This is much more difficult to achieve than simply finding a coin with no circulation wear. PCGS records a 1920 MS67 full head example and notes that J.H. Klein estimated only about 10% of the 27,860,000 piece 1920 Philadelphia mintage was struck well enough to potentially support full head status under modern standards. PCGS describes the MS67 FH specimen as a strike and condition rarity, and its population data show only a small number of examples at that level. This is why collectors should not simply search for a shiny 1920 quarter. They should search for a combination of original surfaces, strong strike, sharp central detail, attractive luster, and full head characteristics. That combination is where the genuinely scarce and expensive coins begin to appear. The market value of a 1920 Philadelphia standing Liberty quarter varies enormously according to grade. A heavily worn example can be worth only a modest premium above its silver value, while attractive circulated pieces can generally fall in the tens to low hundreds of dollars, depending on grade and eye appeal. In mint state, the difference becomes much more pronounced. A recent PCGS certified MS66 example sold for $750 in December 2025, while PCGS listed a guide value of $1,075 for that grade. An exceptional MS66 Plus FH coin sold for $3,840 in February 2026, and PCGS's guide value for that particular level was $11,000. A PCGS MS67 FH example has a listed guide value of approximately $20,500, demonstrating the enormous premium attached to the finest survivors. These figures should be treated as market guides and documented auction evidence, not guaranteed prices. The actual selling price can change substantially